What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now that the Jeep is like just about ready to go, we can start focusing on some of the aesthetics and accessories and stuff like that. And so I've actually had these in my possession for a really long time, and I need to apologize to Loyal Lighting. And I've had these in my possession for a long time, and they've been asking me to make some videos, and I've just been so overwhelmed lately. There's a lot going on. But anyway, the time has come. We're going to throw these on, and let's do a quick unboxing and check them out. Alright, so here we have the LED honeycomb work lights. These are from Loyal Lighting. They reached out to me and they said they wanted to send these to me because they liked what I did with their headlights. Ooh, very nice. I kind of like the silver deal. It's actually going to match the winch up there. Nicely packed. Ooh, it's got some weight to it too. Alright, very cool. So you can see you got our honeycomb design in there, and they actually don't block the LEDs, and it looks like we have two different lenses on the LEDs. We got some spots and we have some diffusers down here, and then in the middle of that we have a amber like a parking lamp, or it could be a blinker, it could be any number of things, but really solid construction. This thing weighs a good amount. So we got metal fins on the back as opposed to plastic, so the metal fins will actually help with heat dissipation. And we have a nice thick mounting bracket. The camera can pick that up. This is like actual 1/8 inch mounting bracket, which is really nice. We got these nice little I don't know what you want to call those, raised pieces here, which will keep your bolt from spinning, which is always super nice and helpful. And a decent wire harness here. We have 3 wires, so we'll have 2 powers in the ground for each one of these lights. Yeah, super solid construction. I'm actually very impressed by them. So let's get going on the install. One thing I would like to mention is that they did not come with a wiring harness, and on my Jeep, it actually had factory fog lights. For some reason that harness doesn't want to work, so I just went and got a generic 2-light wiring harness off of Amazon. So some Jeeps come with factory fog lights that sit somewhere in here, and there's actually a wiring harness that comes down to those, and I thought the easiest way for me to go would be to snip off those connectors, put the connectors onto here, plug it into the fog lights, and off we go. That didn't want to work. Also, look how nice that matches. That's pretty sweet. So this is a bumper that I built myself, and I don't have anywhere to mount this yet, so I'm gonna have to drill a hole. I don't really know where I'm gonna go yet. I like to keep my lights kind of hidden, but I also don't want them tucked so far back that they're not functional. This would be the normal spot right here. Maybe we'll do that, or we can go into the winch plate or something. I'm gonna kind of stare at that for a little bit. So one super easy trick to figure out what these wires do is, first of all, look on your box and see if you have a wiring diagram. But if not, you take a drill battery, whatever you got, 12 volts. I think these are 18 from Milwaukee. And we have a negative and a positive. And so generally red is a power. So I'm going to assume this striped is a negative. And we're going to hold that onto the negative on the battery. Be a little tricky here. Negative on the battery, and then positive, and there's our LED power. So that must mean that our blue wire is our amber light, which is actually super bright. Dang. So there we go. I know that my yellow and green wire has to go to a ground, and then these two are my powers. So here's our pre-made wiring harness. You can see we have pre-terminal ends here, power and grounds for 2 lights. We have a switch with some extra wires that actually have me really intrigued. Anyway, it's nice that these have a plug in here, so you can pass this through your firewall much easier than trying to fit the whole switch in there. And then we got a nice fresh relay. It looks like it's been quality checked and it passed. We have a 40 in the fuse, and some nice ring terminals. So we're going to throw this over the Jeep. I'm going to try and straighten it out the best I can. And it's going to be a really straightforward process from here on out. Okay, so TJ's battery is back in there. So I'm just going to kind of loosely pop this over the top here. And try not to tangle it up. So our switch is going to have to get into the firewall somehow. I generally go somewhere over in that direction. And then our power wires here are actually going to be a pretty decent length. And it's always a good idea to hide this stuff and tuck it up. And if you utilize the shipped kind of bends in here, you can tidy these up really nicely if you zip tie these together, and you can really hide this very nicely instead of having spaghetti all over. So I'm going to start by figuring out where my lights are going to go, and then I'm going to route this end and work backwards because I have more room back here to kind of hide some wires.
I'm here to put in work, that tunnel vision, no way to quench this thirst. When the sun goes down, keep doing my thing, won't stop me now. Yeah, there ain't no doubt, I am the go-getter. I am the go-getter. I am the go-getter. Been through the fire, I made it through the flames, got this desire.
Alrighty, so now that we have our lights mounted, we can start routing our wires through. I'm just going to follow like the factory wires down through the grill. We'll come out in the bottom of the bumper, and we'll have plenty of room to do what we have to do. Also, we're going to use the provided terminals. Super nice stuff. And we'll clip on some quick connectors to here instead of making them permanent. So if you ever need to remove your bumper or you want to do maintenance or whatever, you can just unplug your lights instead of having to cut wires.
I'll do whatever it takes. When the sun goes down, keep doing my thing, won't stop me now. Yeah, there ain't no doubt.
One thing I do want to note here is that this wiring harness that I'm using only has one power and a ground. These lights have a dual function, so you'll have to wire up a second power source to use both individually. So for now, I'm just going to use the LED spotlights, and then I think I'll end up putting the amber light into the second circuit for the indicators. And that way I'll have some cool like parking lamps. But for now, we got our leads on the battery. Just that easy. And we should be able to do our tests now. And there we go. It's just that easy to hook this up. So now we're going to work on running the switch into the cab. It's also really nice how it lights up when it's on and not when it's off. I'm a big fan of that. But good amount of light off of these little things. So on TJ's, there is a grommet down there that you can use to run your wires through. Here it looks like you can drill a hole in here or do whatever. I'm going the quick route, and since this wiring harness has like a sheath on it, I'm just gonna shove this back in the hole. Oh boy. So on the interior, we're gonna pull the front trim off. Then we're going to pull the two screws out of the top of that and the center bezel out, and we should be able to get that switch to fit right inside there. So once you get that trim off, there's two screws right there and right there, and then this center bezel will pop off. Okay, now there's a couple screws on either side of the switch bezel, and we should be able to pop one of these filler plates out and pop our new switch inside of there. All right, so I apologize about the view, but this is a really tight fit. Yeah, there we go. Bam. All right, so let's make sure no wires are touching or anything. We've got this weird plug in here. I'm not sure what that does. It goes to a blank switch. So I'm gonna put that back where it was, and then we'll put it back together, and there you go. All right, so let's do a quick test now. I'm gonna turn off the lights in here, and it's gonna get very, very dark. So there's ambient light coming in through the garage door, and let me find the Jeep. Oh boy, this is difficult. And the dash, and there we go. Yeah, that'll get her done. Pretty good. It's kind of cool how those like orange indicator lights also kind of light up. It's like a different, I don't know, you kind of get a little bit of that orange out of it, but even though they're not actually illuminated. Another really good option as far as providing power to these lights, and it would make it a lot easier to run the dual function lights, is getting some sort of power distribution module. Right here is the rough country version. This thing is, as you can see, it's been used and abused, and I love it. It's just so bare bones and simple, and it keeps everything right here. You got 6 circuits just right in this one box. Switches plug into it, that plugs to your battery, and done. Keeps everything nice and clean, and when you need to run like dual function things, you just run 2 powers down and 2 grounds down right from that thing, and you already have your switches in the cab, and it just makes life a lot easier. I am going to switch over to that eventually. That's why I didn't hook up the second functioning lights, the amber lights on these. So in the future, we have some other goodies to hook up, and I'm just going to do that all at the same time with some fresh wires and a fresh system altogether. Because when you put too many of these wiring harnesses on there, it just gets crowded. It literally looks pretty crowded. So that's definitely the way to go if you plan on doing a ton of accessories. And so stay tuned for that one. And there you have it. There's how to install LED light pods or any sort of lighting accessory on any sort of vehicle, really. If you buy that pre-made wiring harness, it makes it really easy. And shout out to Loyo for sending me these lights to try out. They are very nice quality for the price, so check them out. And if you have any questions, find me on Instagram, ask them there, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.